Started. So my name is Megan Rodriguez. You might see that the name in the screen says Sandy Morris, but that's just because I'm on her Zoom account. So we like to start out by confusing you. But no, I'm Megan. I work with Sandy. I am the manager of activities with the Department of Resident Life. So we're so happy to have everybody here to be able to have the new resident orientation, Life at the Forest, to continue on even on Zoom virtually instead of in person for the time being. I'm just going to go through a few housekeeping items and then I will kick it over to Dr. Goldsmith. So again, thank you to the new resident orientation committee for developing this program. We are recording this session, so if you don't want your face to be on the recording, then you'll want to turn off your camera. You'll still be able to see and hear. We just won't be able to see you. This, let's see here. Because of the group size, we're going to hold the questions until the end. So just keep those questions. You can, there are a couple ways that you can do or ask your questions. You can raise your hand actually physically, and I'll be kind of circling through all of your videos and keeping a list of whose questions I see, and then I will call on you during the question and answer session. There's also an actual raise your hand icon that you can click on your Zoom screen that I will also be looking at. And then the other option is you can use the chat feature to type your question in, and I'll be monitoring all of that and be putting you in an order and then calling on you as your turn comes for your question. Just know that your microphone is muted when you're entering, so if you do have a question, you'll need to unmute yourself using the little mute icon on your screen. This program will re-air on channel 1390 this Thursday at 5:00 p.m., which is a different time than it has been the past few weeks. So 5:00 p.m. if you want to see it again. And for our speaker today, who Dr. Goldsmith will introduce, he does have a PowerPoint, so he will share his screen, and then that will take up the majority of your screen view so that you can see that, and then you'll be able to hear him speak. All right, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Lowell Goldsmith. He is a member of the committee, and he's going to talk a little bit and introduce our speaker today.
Fine. Thank you very much, Megan. One of the things that our committee does is that we help with putting together these orientation lectures, which people have found to be incredibly useful, and that you sometimes don't know how useful they're going to be. The other thing that we do is we like to have dinners and parties for new residents, and those will be coming soon as we get out of COVID. I would like to introduce Nathan Summers. Nathan Summers has a lot of experience in organizations, and the summary word for Nathan is make and fix. If you remember make and fix, you'll see that Nathan is involved in a lot of the things that are being made, and especially the things that have to be fixed. Nathan hates it, and we all hate it when there's water coming through our apartments from the ceiling. In addition to Nathan's bio, he has a very useful sheet of emergency phone numbers. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Nathan Summers, the Director of General Services at the Forest.
Again, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is a little different format than, of course, that we're all used to. I can't say that it makes me any less nervous than actually speaking in front of a group of people. So I'm sure that I will make some mistakes while I get through my PowerPoint, but we shall begin with that, and hopefully it will go well. So I'll share my screen. And how's that look to you folks?
Looks great.
All right. Now let's see if I can click through the screen. Ah, there we go. Too far. Hang on. I'll get there. It's a little slower than I want it to be. I keep clicking too many times. Okay. Today we're going to talk about general services and security. If you don't know, my responsibilities are for what is collectively known as general services. That's housekeeping, security and transportation, maintenance, and landscaping, which are the grounds of the not quite 50 acres of the forest at Duke. Transportation was added to general services last year, and then we formally made security and transportation a bona fide department for itself effective October 1st of this year. The leadership in general services, Tom Bivens is our housekeeping manager. Russell Medlin is our maintenance manager. Russell takes over from Steve Williams, who is a 20-year veteran of the forest at Duke. We hired Russell about 6 weeks ago, getting ready for Steve to depart into his retirement life. So Russell's had a good start in order to know the property and get to know some of the residents before Steve left. Charles Hudgens is our security and transportation manager. And of course, there's me, and I have the oversight of the entire department. My role is Director of General Services. Maintenance. Maintains the various systems on the property. That includes the air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, generator. We do all the pool service and repair work ourselves. And as was said earlier, if it's broke, we fix it. Maintenance also works with security on the fire, access to the property, and the sprinkler systems. They're in charge of filter changes, light bulbs, stop toilets, sink drains, hanging pictures, just about anything that needs to get done here. You can call on security maintenance to help you with that. And of course, one of our goals is to cross-train security and maintenance, and to a certain extent housekeepers, so that any one of the people in general services could help you with a light bulb or a stopped toilet. We're not quite there yet, but that is one of our goals. Housekeeping. Housekeeping maintains the cleanliness and sanitation of all the public spaces, all the cottages and the apartments. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 500,000 square feet of indoor space that these folks are responsible for. Annual apartment and cottage deep cleans, and those are a little bit more than our regular cleaning. We move the furniture around, clean the carpets, pull the appliances out, and of course all that's done in coordination and scheduling with the resident. Some residents want more, some residents want less, so it's kind of personalized on that. And then of course we do weekly cleaning and the removal of trash. Who do you call? This is non-emergency, and I'll get to what do you do during an emergency in just a few minutes. For just about all things general service, you have one-stop shopping. By email, it's work@forestduke.org, and that's an email that's monitored by both myself, the maintenance manager, and Emily Steiskell, who is the administrative assistant to the entire department. You can also call Emily at 419-4030, and she's quite the busy person, and sometimes she's on the phone with another resident when you call. So I urge you to leave a voicemail. Don't get aggravated and hang up. Please leave a voicemail. Security. This is not the emergency number for security. This is Charles' office number, 919-419-4054. If you have a landscaping issue, question, or problem, you can elevate those directly to me. And there's my office number at 919-419-4045, or my email address. And I believe most of this information is on the form that was sent to you yesterday as part of the invitation. Here's some faces to go with the names. In security, we have Charles Hutchins. He's our security and transportation manager. You can see him pre-COVID and post-COVID with his mask on. Helping him in the department is Natasha Howell. She's our lead officer. So they both share in the responsibility of the day-to-day operations of security. This talk is more geared towards an overview of general services. So we'll spend more time looking at security and then give you hopefully more than enough time to ask questions. So as far as a security overview, security provides a security presence within the community. That includes foot and vehicle patrols, and also the main gate presence when the main gate is open. They respond to emergency pendants with nursing staff. They also monitor the cottage alarm systems, which include fire and intrusion from the doors and windows. They do the repair and the battery changes on those sensors at the cottages. They check the proper function of all safety-related equipment and systems, like the fire, smoke and alarm, sprinkler, the cottage intrusion alarm, and all the electronic access doors, which we just recently upgraded. We just about got all the bugs worked out. Now, if I can just get the kiosk to talk to the door access, we'll have it lit. And last but not least is the R-Care system. And that's the resident emergency response system that each of you should have a pendant that was issued to you when you got here. This is the emergency contacts that I mentioned earlier. Someone on security, whether it's Charles, Natasha, or one of the officers, always have what is referred to as a duty phone. And that's an emergency phone. The number is listed there, 919-201-6082. So after hours, or if something's on fire or flooding, you smell electrical components that has that strange ozone smell, or if something just doesn't feel right, you can call that duty phone, and an officer will answer and try to help you through your issue. You can always call reception. Even after reception leaves for the day, that number is forwarded to the duty phone. And again, last but not least, you can press your emergency response pendant. And that's actually the quickest way to get security and nursing to your location. So your emergency pendant, it also has in the same system pull cord stations, and you see representations of those on your screen. The pendant looks like a wristwatch with a big blue button on it, and then the pull cord that are mounted in your bathrooms, in your restrooms. When those are activated, they send notifications by cell phone, pager, and also email to security and the response nurse. I also get those alerts, but I'm not part of the response team. The reason I get the alerts is just to make sure that things are being taken care of in a timely manner. I can check to see how fast the response was, and then take that response notification and then look for the incident reports that both nursing and security does with all the details of whatever reason the pendant or the pull cord station was activated. I'm going to talk about fire. It's a little different for apartment residents and cottage residents. So in the apartments, if you suspect fire, if you see fire or you see smoke and you don't hear any alarms, then you should pull the fire alarm station at the nearest exit. That's if you're out in the hallways and not in your apartment. Again, you can always push your response pendant if you're in the hallway and bring security to you to check it out. If you are not in immediate danger, such as fire or heavy smoke in your apartment, then you should remain in your apartment with all doors and windows closed. One of the confusing things about continuing care retirement resorts such as the Forest at Duke is, yes, we would like you to evacuate when you hear a fire alarm, but that's not always the safest thing for you to do. In fact, in a multi-story apartment building, you could actually open up your apartment to leave and come in contact with smoke or fire that could incapacitate you, and it doesn't take very long. So in this situation, we ask that you stay in your apartment, and if you need to be evacuated, someone will come and help you. If you are in your apartment and smoke begins to come in under your door, you can block that access with a wet towel or a rug. If it continues to come into your apartment under your door, you can get out to your patio and then close the patio door behind you. If the fire becomes that serious, I can assure you that the fire department is probably already on site, and they will be looking for people on patios. They will be going through the building to help you make your escape should that ever happen. And no, you won't have to jump from your patio into a trampoline or anything like that. They will come and get you with a bucket lift or one of those neat ladders that they have. If you are a resident with special needs and an evacuation is needed, believe it or not, we actually keep a list in security and with social work of people who might need to be checked on or need special attention during an emergency. So that list is given to the fire department or the safety personnel should they show up on site, and we need to assist them in having them know where to go first. Again, you will be assisted. One of the things also that you need to understand is Forest at Duke staff, if they hear a fire alarm, be it in the apartments or the community center or even in health and wellness, one of the things that the staff does is help residents within their reach to evacuate the building. What they do not do is once they leave the building, they will not turn around and come back in to help more people. That's great in the movies, and we all have that inclination to want to continue to help, but that does put staff in more danger of coming in contact with fire and smoke, becoming incapacitated, and then they become a victim and they're not of any help. So once you get outside the building, and this includes you, if you feel the need to be more of help, you're more help staying outside the building once you've evacuated and helping everyone else stay calm and being calm yourself. Cottage residents, you do have a fire system in your cottage. It's a smoke and carbon monoxide detector. You do not have a sprinkler system. You should have a small fire extinguisher in your residence. It's normally under the kitchen sink. You may have moved it. It's hard to move because it has a round bottom. It's made to be mounted and not set somewhere where you might forget it. But you need to have make some critical thinking if you have a fire breakout in your residence. The fire extinguisher is good for a small containable fire, and you need to be able to use that fire extinguisher only if you feel comfortable and are physically capable of using it. It's not hard to use, but it does take some dexterity to pull the pin and a minor amount of strength to actually aim the fire extinguisher and pull the trigger. If the fire is serious and it appears that you cannot contain it, you should leave your cottage. You can go to a neighboring cottage that shares the roof with yours and alert the residents there. Please remember that if a fire does break out, security will know and will already be on the way. But it never hurts to call 911 and security or the front desk just to ensure that people are aware and that help is on the way. We do that even when the major fire alarms go off in the buildings. While our system automatically calls the fire department, it's part of our protocol that someone also calls 911, because you can never be too sure and you can't trust any one system in an emergency to do its job. That'll be the one time that it fails. Real quickly, you can see on the screen fire extinguisher and the old acronym PASS, which stands for pull the pin, aim, and you want to aim it at the base of the fire. You're going to squeeze the handle and you're going to sweep the fire extinguisher at the base of the flame. We have what's referred to as a TEN system, and that's an acronym for the Telephone Emergency Notification System. That system will give emergency or critical information or messages over the telephone if the phones are operational. It can send text messages to cell phones. It doesn't work if we don't have your phone numbers. So, and it does help if you give us all your phone numbers. So if you have a landline and cell phones, we should have all those phone numbers because it's just as easy to send it to all your phones and numbers than it is to pick one. You don't have to pick one, but you never know when you might want to get that message. You might not even be on property if you carry a cell phone, and you may get a message that makes you say, I don't want to go back to the Forest at Duke right now because there's an issue there. The TEN system is web-based, which means that myself or a designee from General Services or the leadership team can start that phone call from just about anywhere. I can do it from my phone, I can do it from my house, and the rest of leadership can do that. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, I sent one about a power outage, and I was standing in Walmart in Hillsboro. So it's quite handy to have a system like that. It's not the only way that we communicate, but it is a good way to get messages out when you need to. I work with a resident committee, and it goes from being 2 committees to 1 committee. It may go back to 2 committees. Right now, we basically meet every month, not every other month, because Craig Daniels, our chair, and the 2 committees decided that having 2 separate ones was not smart at this time. We would have a grounds meeting, and then the next month we would have buildings and safety, and then we would go back to grounds. So sometimes it would be 60 days before things about landscaping or the grounds would be able to be addressed and then for me to follow up on. And the same went with buildings and safety. And we found that there was a lot of bleed over in all these areas. So right now, the best course of action seemed to be that we meet every month and we meet on all things grounds, buildings, and safety. And again, Craig Daniels, who's one of our residents, and he's probably on this call if I had to guess, he's our chair. And I'm ready for questions. That is a picture of Charles Hudson's, our security and transportation manager. He's helping escort a resident back to health and wellness who was a little confused and got lost. So Megan, should I stop sharing the screen now?
Yeah, you could stop sharing. Okay. We had a few questions through the chat, so I'll start there. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, and I can see them if you just want me to
Oh,
read them.
okay, sure.
Has consideration been given to installing a charging station for electric vehicles in the forest at Duke? Yes, we have. I'm missing one parking spot in order to make that happen, but it will happen. It's one of those things that we know is a necessity, so we're not trying to shy away from it, but we are landlocked and we don't have a lot of room to put new things in. So I actually have a complete plan. It involves some parking area at the end of B Wing, the apartments, I'm sorry, at the end of C Wing, right close to the intersection of Whispering Oak and the Forest at Duke Drive. We noticed some cottages have backup electricity generators. Our cottage does not. Why is this appropriate, and does the forest provide this equipment? Generators are not provided by the forest at Duke. I can give you the name of a contractor that has done a lot of work here at the forest, but you're free to find your own contact. Any work like that done, though, does have to come through my department to be approved. We want to make sure that the vendor that you choose for this or any work has been vetted, isn't fly by night, and will be there when you need them, just like Forest at Duke staff. There's the need for a generator is purely personal. There are people who have medical equipment that they'd rather not do without during a power outage. There's just the comfort and safety of not being affected by a power outage. The longest power outage that I have lived through in the 4.5 years that I've been here has been about 8 hours. But it's nice to have it. They range right now. You can look between their natural gas, you can look at about $13,000, I believe is the last one that I'm aware of, how much it costs to put one in. And believe it or not, it costs about anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for the gas company to put the lines in and all that. So, but I'll be glad to work with anyone who's interested in that. Just reach out to me. We do furnish fire extinguishers. So if you don't have one in your apartment or cottage, if you'll just give myself or Emily a call, we will make sure that you get one. Every now and then they disappear during the renovation, or people move them and then can't find them. So we definitely want you to be able to have one. And those are all the written questions in the chat that I see.
Does anyone else have a question that you can raise your hand, write it in the chat? I'm kind of monitoring through to see. I'm not seeing anybody, but if your video's off, then I won't be able to see you raising your hand. Ellen Barrett did say if you need a copy of Nathan's PowerPoint slides, then you can email her at ebarrettsc@me.com, and you can always contact Department of Resident Life if you didn't get that, and we can send that to you. So one more. Oh, let's see. Mr. Langmeyer, you've got.
I do.
Okay.
One of the things that surprised me when I first moved in here is that the Forest of Duke actually supplies light bulbs. So ask for light bulbs.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else?
Sandy?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to ask Nathan, since I made the announcement that everybody could get the slides if they wanted them, that you'll send them a copy to me.
I will.
Okay.
One of the things I did want to reiterate, and I brought it up just now when I was talking about generators. While we want you to make your cottage or your apartment your home, you do have some restrictions, and I need to know if you decide to do landscaping, if you decide to do work and put in built-ins and add things to the outside of your cottage. And we've had some window boxes go up that I wasn't aware of. And again, I'm not the homeowners association, but I do have a responsibility to keep the property as nice as possible, and also to protect us from anything that could be damaged, especially during inclement weather. Things on the outside of your cottages become very dangerous during a hurricane, and we do get hurricanes here. Luckily, we don't get them as bad as the coast, but we need to be real careful about things that we do. Obviously, running any electrical or gas or any changes like that. It's real easy. All you have to do is call me, or you can call Emily. Myself or one of the knowledgeable maintenance fellas will come out, we'll chat with you, we'll see what you want to do, and then we'll help you do it. Or if we have to say no, then we'll try to find some common ground where we can say yes and you're still happy. Sometimes it's not a fast process, but we do want you to feel like you can do what you need to do to make your home yours. So.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. A question for Nathan from Lowell. As work starts on the additions to the Health and Wellness Center, should we be alerted to, are there going to be road closures, utility changes, anything like that we should be thinking about?
I can tell you from experience, yes, everything that you said will probably come true. One of my roles as we get closer to construction and construction actually begins will be part of that communication and the periphery safety and logistics for all of the folks living and working here. So you will at the minimum get weekly updates. I know you'll get one from me. You'll probably get one from Anita. Mine will focus on those things that you just mentioned, Lowell. Road closures, where is it safe to walk? Where is it safe to go watch the construction? Because that's always exciting. We have a project coming up in 3 to 6 weeks. We are going to replace the sidewalk on the east side of campus on the Forest at Duke Drive. About 1,400 linear feet of that broken asphalt that runs from Whispering Oaks all the way around to our loading dock past the greenhouse. So that will give us a good taste of how does this machinery and things affect our daily lives. And you'll get communications if you live in those cottages and probably in the apartments too, when it's safe to be out there, when you might need to move your car, we might have to redirect traffic away from that end of the campus, bring you in one way, those kind of things. So that's an excellent question. Thank you for bringing it up.
Melissa McLeod had a question. Does your department take care of technical issues, Wi-Fi, TV?
We can assist. Sometimes technical issues with the TV is simply the remote has gotten away from you, and it's merely trying to find the right source again, which is fine. Anything that has to do with Wi-Fi, you can certainly call Emily or let me know, and we can do an IT support work order for you. Again, I want you to understand that we don't want to make it difficult for you to get assistance. So if all you can remember is Nathan, or all you can remember is Emily, by all means, reach out to us. We will get you in the proper hands, regardless of what your situation is.
Okay. Judy Mace has a question. Do you want to unmute yourself? Judy, so we can hear you.
Yes, Nathan, you said, I believe, that you alert people when there is a power outage. There was a power outage of hours length. We got no alert. When we lived in a private home near here in Durham, we could call Duke Power and get some estimate about the length of time. It cannot be done from this community setting. Can you tell me a little bit more about alerts of power outages, and is there any way we can get some estimate of time?
First off, let me apologize. If you didn't get an alert on a power outage that lasted that long, that's my responsibility. I will double check to make sure that we have your correct phone numbers in our TIN system. There are times that the power company will tell me that the power will be on in 30 minutes and then it turns into hours. I try not to send obvious TINs messages out that the power is out because it's obvious that it's out. What I do try to use the TINs is if it's going to be out for a long time, like you said, Ms. Mace, that you need to know and when the estimated time of it being put back on. Duke Power just recently added a business portal, which I signed the Forest at Duke up so that we can get more rapid response on that kind of information. What caused the outage? What's the estimated time of restoration? And I have found that they like to overestimate. I think they like to under promise and over deliver. They'll tell me 3 hours and then the power will come on in an hour and a half. And I don't mind looking stupid as long as everybody's happy.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question, Ms. Mace.
That would be a help, just some estimate of time, if you can give us that, if it's going to be an hour or more.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Linda Carlson said first wanted to say that Emily is wonderful. She's so responsive. And then she says, since you mentioned the construction, how close are you to moving all the impacted residents?
Let's see. We are about halfway through the list. We have one resident has already moved and has been moved for a few months. We have 3 apartments under renovation right now for relocation, and we have a few more who have just recently made decisions. So we're starting those conversations about their new residences. Actually, this week I have one this afternoon and one tomorrow. So it looks pretty good that we'll have everything in place whenever the construction is due to start. And I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Rose Mills and Jeff Collins ask, how often are the cottage driveways resurfaced?
Once every 30 years, apparently.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. That's the second part of the sidewalk project. Some driveways have already been done. We did that. We did a few one-offs during the turnover of the cottages because some of the driveways were so bad that I couldn't let them go. The best way to do those driveways is they're past the point of being resurfaced. They're actually going to have to be replaced. So there is a plan, and as soon as the sidewalks go in, we'll move to the second phase, which is some paving and also those driveways. So you can look at that to be done within the year.
Great. And then Vicki Atwater asked, will communications be sent by email? That may have been in reference to what you were talking about earlier.
Right now, we do not communicate that way by email, but that's not a bad suggestion. I think as we move forward in time, more people are comfortable with getting email communications. Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we send out a lot of forced forwards and things like that to emails, correct?
We do, and I do believe Robin Rogers keeps a list, the admin group, for people that do want to get memos and that kind of stuff electronically as well. So you could always contact Robin Rogers and ask to be put on that list.
Okay, so Ms. Atwater, we will make that change and start trying to incorporate email notifications along with the other things that we do when we are trying to get some important messaging out from my department. Thank you.
All right, that's the end of the chat questions. Anybody else have any other questions? I'm not seeing anybody raising their hands. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything, then thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Dr. Goldsmith. And we will see you next week. Just remember, if you want to watch this recording, it will be this Thursday at 5:00 p.m. on channel 1390. All right. Have a great day.
Have a great day, folks. Thanks for taking your time and joining us.